Ladies and gentlemen, it is my greatest pleasure to welcome to the podium Grand Chief Dr. John Momis, founding father, one of the founding fathers of Papua New Guinea. Please stand. And one of the chief architects of the Papua New Guinea National Constitution. Thank you, Grand Chief Dr. John Momis, for gracing us with your presence in your speech today.
Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, Honorable James Marape, His Excellency, the Australian High Commissioner to PNG, Mr. Ewan MacDonald, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Papua New Guinea, Professor Ian Finlay, the Chancellor, Sir Robert Igara, professors, ministers, former ministers and members of Parliament, and of course the students. It is a great pleasure that I stand here today to share with you some experiences and some difficulties we had in formulating Papua New Guinea's constitution. The Papua New Guinea Constitution was made by Papua New Guineans who were then members of Parliament. Our master trailblazer, Michael Somare, appointed 15 of us to work to formulate the Constitution. So we did travel extensively and throughout the country to get the views of our people. Some of the members wanted to go to Africa and Asia. And I, as the de facto chairman, I became de facto chairman because the Chief Minister's hands were full as more and more responsibilities from Canberra were transferred to Konedobu. So in Machiavel, I'm de facto chairman. So when our people wanted to go overseas, I said no. I was a priest then. I knew they didn't like it. I wasn't too sure whether I was safe by refusing their request to go overseas. But I said to them, look, if you want to sew a suit for a Papua New Guinean, you don't go overseas. Go and measure him in the village. Find out exactly what are his sizes, a big bell, a bun nothing, or one him can man. You go along Asia, but you go walk him tribal trousers, they don't fit in Papua New Guinea man. I'm sure they didn't like it, but in the end, we all agreed that it was the best decision to spend time in finding out from Papua New Guineans exactly their aspirations, their worries, and their vision for this new country. So, I must say, we had not just a busy time, we also had a very, very enjoyable time. We didn't have too many dances, but we did argue honestly, take one another's views on important matters, and in the final analysis, I think we did come to conclusions which all of us felt will fare. Because in any situation where you have differences of opinion, you must consult, and through the process of consultation and engagement, we can reach an agreement that would suit the different points of view. When we came to discuss the necessity or the importance of having a leadership code, Sampla member talk, what for you got tupla code, tupla law, criminal code, I mean happiness. Now why not leadership code again? One pla poroman blomi, and me ask him, why two codes? I had to tell him, leadership code and belong leader, that's all. Criminal code belong you may get a man marry. Now he still wasn't convinced. So I said, look, I won't mention his name. I said, look, if they found you under the nurse's house at 2 o'clock in the morning, well dressed, clean cut, white teeth, bali tokwanem. Because you know plumber, you know engineer, you make it one name long house, I need long house long the nurse. In other words, a leader must not only do the right thing, he must also be seen to be doing the right thing. Because the leader is a role model. Young people see the leader and they say, I want to emulate that man. Leader and Papa. Or bikini like looking Papa belong all. Or bikini by Sem. Time Papa belong all spark long about. Bali Sem. Time Papa belong all the thingy mentasol. And me enjoy him life emtasol. I marry Mama now bikini hungry stuff. So leadership, I personally fought hard to include the leadership code in PNG Constitution. Because I value the role and the contribution that leaders make. When you have good leaders, people don't have to go and prove for themselves in detail that this leader is worth what he says he's worth. Only look at them, that's all, nalisabe. Because some behavior belong to them. And I think that is probably missing today. Ombudsman Commission. I was a very young minister then. In 1976, or 77, sorry, Minister for Decentralization. Chief, Salimi Longolong Suba, long meet him, Prime Minister belong Fiji. And big man, strong man, well educated. Me go na, me talk him couscous long and me like meeting Prime Minister. Now me talk no, Prime Minister busy through. So me think now, me kira me ask him. Me think now, me think. I said, what will I say to him to attract him to come and meet me, or for me to meet him? So I told him, I'm a Catholic priest, even though I may not look it. La kuskus long and you talk to him now. Ratu Mara was a Catholic. So you see, because we had something in common, and we talk yes, but me meet him. So I met him and I asked him, Prime Minister, what is your view on having a Ombudsman Commission and a leadership code? He said, you don't need it. You just need good leaders. Me like question him, that's a big man to master me like. Don't get me right. But fortunately, so Makere Morat and I, Makere was just a young was a finance person. We were attending a development conference in Suva, attended by people from the Pacific. And I met this Kiwi man, and he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I came to see the Prime Minister, but I'm very disappointed. I'll be going back without achieving what I wanted." And he said, "What?" Let me talk. And I said to him, "I'd like to talk about the importance of the leadership code and the ombudsman." And he said, "Oh, well, come and meet the Papua ombudsman along New Zealand." So he organized for me to meet this man, and he said, "Don't listen to the Prime Minister of Fiji. He's a good leader, but not all of us are good leaders. We need something to challenge us, to check us, so that we will live up to the standard that good leaders have." So I'm completing the employment on this. I pay a lot of respect to my colleagues who were elected in 72. Now people are going down to 75. I think the only minister maybe 6 or 7 still alive. And only 3 members of the Constitutional Planning Committee are still alive: Tony Ila, John Caputin, and John Momis. And that's all. When we were making the Constitution, people were saying, "What are we going to do? Are we going to develop good roads, good government, country?" And I said, "No. We are going to develop man. We're not going to talk. If you don't develop man, you cannot develop roads and countries." Man is the masterpiece, the pinnacle of God's creation. He's not only the masterpiece, he is also a co-creator. God himself, in his wisdom, decided to give him that power to transform this world. This university develops intellectual capability development. I'm not sure whether this university conscientizes the students to appreciate the importance of values and principles. It is not enough to be well educated. I mean, sorry, don't misunderstand me. It's important. But if you have a highly educated person, but who wouldn't care less about values and principles, then it's not a good leader, it's not a good person. We must have well-educated, highly disciplined, and people who value others. Thomas Aquinas said, "Politics is the noblest of sciences, because it is through politics that one can do the most good, and vice versa, through the abuse or misuse of politics, one can do the most evil." Politics and one House of Representatives, Parliament. Many of us are Christians, or we belong to some religion. We make sure we take care of our personal relationship with our God, and when that's done, we also want to take necessary steps to ensure that our interpersonal relationship with the community is well taken care of. I'm a member of the community, therefore I must also care for the community. I can't just look after myself. And unfortunately, most of us stop at that level. There is another level which I believe, is probably is just as important and perhaps more important. And that is the public dimension of human existence. And the place where you address that the best is the Parliament, where you make good laws, good policies, create good institutions to serve not just your friends and your one-talks, but to serve the whole nation, the whole gamut of Papua New Guinea. And when you do that, you fulfill the commandment, love God and love your neighbor. Because everybody is your neighbor. Time you go to nothing. Long Sunday or long Sabbath. And you think you take care of yourself and between you and God, belong you. And when you think of others, when you have time to think of them, you just worry about the people that you know who are in the neighborhood. But this world doesn't just belong to you and your neighborhood. Papua New Guinea belongs to all of us. So members of Parliament in the best position to help Papua New Guineans. Come up in good law, you have him more get man. You come up in law no good, you kill him more get man. And those three levels of engagement must happen simultaneously. So you have a problem of simultaneity. Make sure you take care of these three levels at the same time. No can go lo tu natin on Sunday na malolo. Lo tu natin narap laman tu. Na leaders long yumi or leader. Lo tu tingim narap laman neighborhood tingim country too. Tingim Bougainville. Tingim Manus. Tingim Wanimo. We have an amazing country. It seems it is a conglomeration of tribes and linguistic groups, but it is a rainbow country. It's a country of great diversity in terms of languages, cultures, and so on and so forth, and we can create a union out of this diversity, not by imposing uniformity, as former Prime Minister did when he changed the organic law in provincial governments. We drew all the powers from the provinces and made the provinces totally powerless, totally dependent on a highly centralized and bureaucratized government. No wonder Papua New Guinea, we have become so dependent long Waigani now. Oloman sabi belong Enga province, Mount Hagen, Western Islands, with Eddie Powell. Oloman sabi belong Central Province, long New Britain, no one get up. Maski hamasabi you are powerless. You walk long look na sing out, Papa give me kai, give me kai. We are meant to be agents of change and development, and not mere recipients of goods and services vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation and dehumanization. When you disempower people, you dehumanize them. Our job in 1972 to 1975 was to liberate Papua New Guineans, empower them, and create a unity out of this diversity. But it's a rich diversity. You know, Sir Peter Lusa, so was in school law, he would become the best courtroom barrister. You cannot beat him long argument. Popular man sabe true. I forgot the exact year, we were debating Bougainville's call for independence. Bougainville like a map republic. Sepita kirab na ito kol buka, or one dog lomi or buka, or no, amito, or buka blomi like a map Republican. People are civic, he like a map African. He's a good man. And I think, honestly, me must talk, he would have been one of the best members of parliament. Me no agrees, me no stop. He was a good churchman. Mandong lotu, amas lotu blog and tablong roti long bomana. I don't know whether you know. And one time, one blarasco, you paint him graffiti long wall long church loget, and me kirap na long radio, and I talk. Man, he writing graffiti, come na mitula fight. We had good men. Another person we had was Wanto Blomi, Donato Smola Blombuka. We had another member, an old man. He wasn't too sure on his feet. He wanted to ask a question, and he was going like this. Mr. Speaker, now as long as he was shooting your backside. Sorry. Now, Speaker, I talk. You sometimes ask you a question. So he stood up and said, in talk pieces, I like asking a question long, and he forgot the name of the minister. Minister for Health. So me like asking question long, Boy Bukaya. Boy Bukaya, I'm Donado Smola. Excuse me, I'm talk to Blomanya. You know me talk. Bloody shit, you know the name Blomi yet. They were funny, but they were very intelligent. They were not as well educated as you, but they were very intelligent. They knew how to keep the debates going, and they understood human nature. And as a result, Papua New Guinea has one of the best constitutions in the world. The 5 national goals and directive principles are what do I say? You know what the Constitution, they got this 5 national goals and directive principles. First goal, integral human development, holistic development. Development belong man, you know, sabe that's all. You know, look good that's all. You must like him, not a man too. You must get good passion. No can Pauli man nothing. Integral human development. Second goal, equality and participation. Very, very important. In this country of great diversity, you cannot impose if you think you can impose uniformity and thus force us to be united, you've got another thing coming. Equality and participation. Man must participate in the process of development and in the process of governance. Look at Miki Man long New Island, na long Wanimo, Angabab natin, no wabla government asolan tapia. Must give him power long all. Participation is an inalienable right. Even God himself, also we talk Pastor Mia, and we talk man, he must get right to participate in creating this world. When Adam and Eve were here, there were no jet planes, there were no watches, and man walking. Proves man is a co-creator. God himself decided to share his power with man. Man is endowed with 2 important faculties, namely intellect and will. And those faculties differentiate him from other animals. I mean, irrational and irrational animal. So man can do wonders. This university must produce the young men of Papua New Guinea who will accept the responsibility to develop this great nation and maintain its diversity. Don't impose uniformity, for God's sake. Mibla masgad all kind narabla kind sing danis all kind passion. That's why time only talk when we were formulating the Constitution, people were saying, what would we talk about? What we will develop? Make it talk, developing man pastor. Time you developing man, I got good plan man, a good plan leader, and by developing a road, a bridge, all kind something. When you neglect man, man becomes a victim of modernization because we have neglected him. In Bougainville, the PNG government made a big mistake. They deleted Chapter 10 from the Constitution when the Constituent Assembly was meeting. And Chapter 10 was critical. Bougainville was already disappointed that CRA and Australian colonial administration collaborated with CRA to exploit the Panguna landowners. Everybody else was making a lot of money except the landowners, whose resources were being exploited and used for the benefit of everybody else except themselves. As a priest, I took a plunge in human affairs and found myself in the midst of the landowners who were powerless in the face of political and ideological incursion from Australia, from CRA and the colonial government. I took a strong stand. Togomino Strait. Ground belong landowners. And when BCL was making a lot of money, the landowners were getting pittance. So when that's how I got elected. I was a priest, I never thought of becoming a politician. But because of the social justice that I studied, when I was studying, for people in Luksabe, United Church, SDA Catholic, and triple a lot to the Bougainville before, or you go and look at Bishop Blomin, I thought people like this Lamani come up member. Bishop said no. And Patre, I mean, you can come up member. And the people said, yes, people I sabe and Patre. That's all people I believe. You wrong, long stop me, long, I mean, come up member. So they forced his hands, and he reluctantly allowed me to stand. So I was catapulted from the bush to the national politics because of what I was doing to defend the powerless. Those who owned the resources but who had no power, who were at the mercy of others. So the work of liberation started then. And I met Chief Somare outside in the shadows of the great Christ the King Cathedral in Wewak. Leo Hennett, Ignatius Kilage from Chimbu, Alexis Sare, and me. We went there and we met, after church, Somare saw us. Of course, somebody must have briefed him who we were. So he comes to us and says, hey, old Buka, you will come away. We told him we were seminarians, we were here to do some pastoral work. And he said, oh, Misabe, you will not marry, you will not marry, you will not cooking good plakai. Come long house for me, but by me cooking good plakai long you will. And that's how we met Somare in 1965. He took us to the base of Wewak Hill, where his house was and still is. Yeah. And we had a barbecue, and as we talked around and drank beer, in no time we talked about self-determination. the inalienable right of man to determine his own destiny. Whether he's ready or not does not matter. So when he makes up his mind, he will get ready. Little did we know, we were talking to the Prime Minister. Sorry, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Little did you know that we were talking to the future Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. And little did we know that the three of us ended up working with him. Kilage became the Chief Ombudsman, later Governor General. Leo Hannett became his special advisor on Bougainville, and he actually helped us, because I recommended to Chief appoint him to Slaman, the Pasimaus Longan, because I went to school with him. So Leo did a very good job. He mobilized the people, united the people of Buka, he go down to Buin. And we worked out the highest autonomy for Bougainville. That Bougainville talked on Buruk, independence that's all. And Leo, he was a very smart fellow. He convinced the people, yes, the highest autonomy for the sake of unity is as good as being independent. But we had bureaucrats here who didn't understand. Bureaucrats here who didn't even want to listen to me, the legitimate regional member for Bougainville, and I was the Minister for Decentralization. They wouldn't listen to me. They were being advised by somebody else who knew absolutely nothing. So don't blame Bougainville for what they are doing. They have compromised so many times, and PNG has let them down. Well, Bukain like broke us all. I thought, well, what's there for us? Nobody's going to listen to us. So what I'm saying is consultative and consensual mode of decision making is a legitimate and a good way of reaching agreements between, warring parties. So Prime Minister, it's not too late for you. You can talk about Bukabali Raus with me now. But, really, Bougainville tried very hard. And because we had bureaucrats, insensitive bureaucrats who were advising the government, things didn't work out. The other thing I want to say today is that I'm glad, Prime Minister, I heard that you have announced that 2 provinces will get autonomy, Mtura and Gupla. I think all provinces should, as and when they are ready. See, decentralization was good, and my advice, I was a minister. I knew a lot about this thing, but there were some ministers who preferred not to listen to me, but to listen to some negative people like, give it to everybody. Me talk, yes, everybody will get it, as and when they are ready for it. Because when you give it to everybody willy-nilly, those who are not prepared will make a mess of it, and then kamani tanim na ito grausi mo kita. In 1995, John Kapudin, my colleagues, good friend John Kapudin, late Bernard Narakobi, people have been arguing straight in Parliament. I think Bart Philomon too. You may be in Stable Party, and Chair and Rousey people because you voted against this 1995 reforms, which took all the powers back to the center. And I remember saying to the Prime Minister, my dear Prime Minister, you won't be PM all your life. One of these days, you'll be an ordinary member and your people in New Ireland may want you to be the governor. and you'll be heading an empty shell. And when he became governor, I was the president of Bougainville, and me asking me long New Ireland, because I'm part New Ireland too. And me told you come to talk to people belonging to me. And me go talk to all. So Julius introduced me, this man, this, and the people belonging to me, people are going to say along it. Papa will decentralize, you tell you no say along it. Very capable man, but when you disempower people, you stand alone and you will get no help from everybody else. I think this country needs to have highly decentralized governments to empower the people. And when people are empowered, they'll do anything for the love of unity. As you know, the third goal of the Constitution is self-reliance and national sovereignty. When I was ambassador in China, I visited the Great Wall of China, and they told me the Chinese built this Great Wall with mud and rice, because they had no modern things, and they built it in order to keep the Mongolians out to protect the Chinese people. The Mongolians didn't want to climb this wall and endanger their lives, so they went straight to the gatekeepers, bribed them, and walked in and killed the Chinese. Papua New Guinea must be careful. People who with plenty of money will not come to the villages. They'll go straight to the members of parliament, bribe them, and walk in. Or you not come talk to all Kanaka man, people are Kanaka, but come talk to all big man. So national sovereignty is very, very important for us. Don't undersell Papua New Guinea's national sovereignty. The fourth goal is conservation and preservation, natural resources and environment. I'm University of Budao, University of Natural Resources and Environment. So it's a very important goal. Our natural resources. Papua New Guinea is such a highly diversified country in terms of topography, languages. Let's protect it. Miblalong Bougainville now, or leader of more the mangroves. The leaders are making big business, multi-story house time of Bougainville in money. We are the most powerful province in Papua New Guinea today, and yet we are probably the most corrupt. Sad case. A leader must be a law. Minatokolo Santu, Tasololo manually trying don't come up good plus servant, workman. Suppose Nogat, you go on in business long you. I did not want to be involved in business because I feared that I might be enticed to run my own business to the detriment of my business to look after my people. My business as a leader is to serve my people. So that's the goal, important, the fourth goal. Fifth goal, of course, is Papua New Guinea ways. We must use Papua New Guinea ways. We must be proud of our cultures. Look at Sam about. There's nothing wrong with chewing betel nut except when you spit all over the place. Down him, now by your right. Before me say kaka boy, so now me teeth broke, now me easily click. So, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Prime Minister, you have a difficult job. I don't know. Even if I was in Parliament today, even I was offered the prime ministership on the golden platter, I would refuse it. It's an impossible responsibility. What I'm saying is it's a responsibility that is being made very, very difficult for us when the people who are supposed to be in a democracy, who are supposed to be the chiefs, the members are supposed to be the Indians. It seems the Indians are having a great day at the expense of the leaders. The Indians are having a great day at the expense of the leaders. So, Minanga Plani Tok Tok, I just want to say, I want to go into detail, but one thing we did in the Constitution was, for example, we said, Somalia agreed with us, but when Lord Mountbatten visited, sorry, long enough, Baski by me come up, accepting Queen or some head of state. Mi blood talk no gat. The Queen is, our Constitution is autochthonous. Power belongs to the people. God giving power on people, on voters. The people yet He giving power on the leader belong all. So time somebody compromise on them big money. People are still, we made the Constitution, made the change of Constitution to make the Governor General totally powerless. He must only do what the Parliament, what the Cabinet tells him to do, and exactly what the Cabinet tells him to do. So he's a figurehead at the expense of our people, because you mean like behind him some other country. And I think even Australia now is thinking of having their own head of state. Tarapla big player something. Our Constitution talks about human rights, my right. But we also include in the Constitution, as well as my right, I also have social obligations. I must also take care of my social obligations. I can't just say, wow, yeah, money strong, walking. Mr. Ong, me got service, me got business. Forget about the others. No, God. PNG Constitution says you have a social obligation to help your fellow men and women. I think the problem in Yumigat, we failed to conscientize people. We are very highly educated people, but we have many people who don't understand the importance of principles and values. Only you can argue, you win in an argument, and you win finish. Irrespective of what good you do, and that's slightly wrong. So I think one thing we must do now is for the government to engage or to pay money or something, to engage students and others to go around the country conscientizing the people, pricking their conscience, raising their awareness to realize that other people are as important as they are. And this creation doesn't only belong to some. Pinisim Toklomi, me like Tokolosem, PNG is a great country. Our Constitution, by the way, has stood the test of times. It's one of the very few constitutions in the world that has not been overthrown in a war. We've come close in some place, but we have succeeded. People have respected our Constitution. And that is, I think, because we set up 831 committees throughout Papua New Guinea. District headquarters, sub-district headquarters, patrol posts. We flew and we rode to every place in Papua New Guinea. People like Dr. Lolaman, we left behind, we told them, have your committees, ask these questions or these issues, and send us back your answers, which they did. We, apart from conducting public meetings with so many people, we broke up into two groups, we toured the whole country, and in my view, we probably conducted the most comprehensive and extensive consultation process in Papua New Guinea at that time. So Andem Desala, the Papua New Guinea Constitution, and be empowering people. People are the agents of change and development. People, recipients, that's all. They are certainly not just mere passive recipients of goods and services. They are active agents of change and development, and they are the ones who should determine the kind of vision as Somare was. Somare was a visionary. When people didn't understand, I think he inherited some of Agoundo's vision. Tamolasque Naulo University Doctor Lawyer Blongu Agoundo ito Bami Blakare Mol Pian. He had a vision. Buruki Bolo Mountain, I go on the side. That's what a visionary does. And you really need ideologues or visionaries who are prepared to work hard to make the changes in the current situation so that the future will take place. Thank you very much.